Alright, it looks like we are ready to go. It's right at 8 o'clock. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the stream. I am Adam, one of the engine support techs, kind of just doing this for fun, help out, do what I can. Alright, that gets the introductory stuff out of the way. I have fun stuff to do today. So, I was at work, and one of the only, three people there, because today's a holiday for, well, pre-holiday for Epic, so most of the staff was out, but I needed to make up some time. Anyways, enough about me. No, so I was there, and I didn't have too many bugs on me today to work through, and I'm kind of waiting to hear back from a lot of people. So I was playing around, and I was like, hey, let's learn a little bit about particle systems, specifically how to use a particle system in Blueprints. There are many ways, many ways you can use particle systems in Blueprints, if a bullet hits a wall or something like that, you can have it spawn a decal or cause little sparks to fly or things like that. You can do various projectiles like fireballs, or have like a glowy thing that sits around the player and stuff like that. Well, I didn't do any of that. I decided to make a kill volume, pretty much. And I know you can obviously just use a kill volume or a pain causing volume, which is more accurate as to what we're doing. So I went playing around on the interwebs, and I found this pretty picture of a bee. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that in, actually. And so this is the bee. And it's a pretty shitty bee, and it's very low resolution, but it works for what we need. Obviously, if you want a better quality picture, then I would definitely get a better quality one. This was just for example purposes and to see how to do it, because I'm trying to teach myself more outside of Blueprint and my normal scope, because I want to be a bit more well-rounded. So, we've got our little bee, and the first thing we need to do is make a material out of it. And I've got to remember everything I did, but it wasn't too difficult. So we're going to right click in here, make a material, and we're going to call this bee mat. Okay, so go ahead and pull in that texture. Now, something I learned today is that, like with this, if I just plug this into the base color, what I'm going to get is not a bee. I'm going to get a bee on a very blatantly white background. So if we put that in the level, what we're going to get is a bee on a white background. This is not going to occlude itself. So we kind of got to do that. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a texture coordinate, because I like having those just, if we ever want to do anything with it, we can play around with it, stretch it out, make it thinner, whatever. Okay, now the first thing we need to do when you do masked materials is you need to make sure that you have masked, blend mode masked. And as you can see, opacity mask. Go ahead and hit apply. Now it's interesting, when I did this the first time, base color actually removed itself, and I had to use emissive. Maybe it'll let me use base. Okay, so the problem is, let's say we want to just go ahead and mask this. Now, if you do opacity mask here, this is what you get. As you can see, this is not a desirable result, to say the least. That is ugly. It just masks out all the middle parts. That's bad. And the reason, when we look at the bee further, is because all the black area, that's what's being removed. So what we want is for the white area to be removed. Okay? So we're going to pull out and go 1 minus. So what this does is it inverts all the colors. So the black becomes white, the white becomes black. Really easy. But when we plug this in, as you will see, yes, we get a missing background. But this looks shitty. All the wings are messed up, there's chunks missing, even for just a tester asset, that's not gonna fly. So, being the inquisitive sort, I came in here and I was looking, and I started looking through these channels. And I noticed, boom, if you get rid of all of them, obviously, the thing disappears. But then if you set the blue channel back, you get this black and white cutout of the bee. And those wings are just dark enough on this. So what we want to do is drag off of the blue pin, which links to the blue channel, and plug that into the emissive, or into the 1 minus instead. Now it's not perfect, obviously. I mean, the little masking thing, it cuts off a lot and doesn't look quite right. But this is what we're going to go with, because when you're far enough away, you really can't tell. Right? It still looks like a bee, and that's what we needed. Now, I am going to add one more thing in here, because one of the guys at work, pretty much the only other guy there today, informed me that it was really bright, and that made it kind of difficult to read. So I added in a small multiplier of, I think I went with 0.1 or 0.25. It was one of the two. Plug that into the base color. That should make it a little darker. I think this is when we went with the emissive. Yeah, see, so it's a little bit darker. And if we pulled it in here, so I'm going to use this as our example real quick. So if I place that there, hit apply to make sure everything applies. Oh, that's not a good, okay. I'm going to use one of these walls. So we can kind of at least see, it's hideous because it's all stretched out and shit. Hey, IRTech! Working on particle systems in Blueprints. Well, at least for now. We might do something else. I do have one user question from the inbox that I will be answering, hopefully. But for now, I'm playing around with particle systems, because I rather enjoyed this. Okay, but this bee, so this is what we're going to work with here. Has no normal map, because honestly we don't need it right now. It's not that important to what we're doing. Don't have any other craziness, just the bee. It is just a bee. Okay. Save that. And that's all we're going to have to do in the material and in the texture. So now we get to the fun part, the particle system, where we are going to make a swarm. So if you open up the particle systems, I know a lot of people have already done this. I'm going to run through it just for those who haven't. When you open it up, you get this base particle system. It's just a little stream of nonsense with a base material. And it's good for kind of seeing what you're doing. But we're going to quickly remove that. Oh, I did forget one thing in the material. I forgot to make it two-sided. Make sure, oh, and I need to take off, so we're taking off taking off the shading mode lit, which is, that's why we did the emissive color, right, and two-sided. That way, now no matter which way we go, we see a bee. It's not going to be like, oh look, they're invisible from one side. That's the part I was mixing. Oh cool, I am doing something other people haven't done yet. Yes! You have no idea how excited I am about that, IRTech. It's nothing like super crazy or anything like that, but it's a lot of fun. Okay. Oh, why are you freaking out? There we go. So, we got this particle system. It's not really doing anything right now. The first thing we want to do is give it a type data, and I'm going to use the mesh data. And the reason I'm using a mesh data, which as you can see spawns these ugly flat cubes, the reason I'm using this is because I want to be able to affect the camera and make sure that it follows the camera angle. Okay. And I'm using a plane mesh because planes you can easily turn. That's that. Finally, let's see, I believe there's a couple more things I need to do in here. The first one is override the material, and that allows me to set the material right here. So now we're going to have this B material, which just kind of makes it stack itself for now. That's okay. We're going to change that very, very soon. Okay, back to mesh data. So let's see. don't think I had any axis lock. I did have this, which I did face camera with locked axis. Even though we're not actually locking an axis, it seemed to make a difference. Then camera facing option, we are going to do camera facing, and we are going to have it velocity aligned z-axis facing. So that kind of makes it to where whenever we turn around this thing, it's going to turn with us. Kind of cool. And I'm not worried about being up here, because in this instance there's rarely going to be a time that we're going to be up there. Okay. Going to apply particle rotation, and I think that's it. Okay. So now we need to come to spawn. I'm actually going to do this do the spawn in a minute. I want to get the size first, because these are obviously going to be way too big. We need a much smaller size. So we're going to come in here and go 0.01. Also, if you check my forum thread, it's the Undead Ursine forum thread for new Twitch stream. It'll be in the general area. I can't see. Where'd you go? So one of the problems with doing this is finding where your stuff goes. Okay. So this is the center point. This should be... It's going to be disappeared for a while, but we'll get it back. I promise. Okay. Lifetime is going to be... Oh, that's why. I answered just slightly the wrong. Anyways, the image that I'm using is in the forum thread. So, there. Now we've got the correct size that I was using. Lifetime, we want 1 and 1, so that is perfect. Spawn, we need a much larger spawn count. There we are. And the rate scale, I believe, was 1. Okay. Our velocity we need to change. And what I did for velocity was a 5 maximum, a 1 minimum. The radial velocity, I don't know if this actually changed anything, but I did it anyways just kind of to see what would happen. And I set in world space to true. Let's see. So what this does is it treats velocity as a world space velocity instead of a local velocity. That's all that does. Okay, now we get into adding extra stuff. So in here you got all these lists. What we are looking for is orbit. Need a better angle on this. There we go. That's ish. Okay. So the orbit, we're going to go into the offset amount, and we're going to go 50, 50, 50, and 20 min. No locked axis. We want so we want to process this when they spawn, because if we process it during update, it becomes really hard to read. I can show you actually. Like here, let me pull a copy of our little bee swarm in here. So yeah, when you do the process like that, it becomes extremely difficult to actually see what's going on. So I am going to take this off, save that, and as you can see, it becomes a lot easier to see what's going on here. And even if you click off, you can actually see all this stuff floating around. Okay. And I believe